Last episode, we were talking about professionalism, some of the work from home pitfalls, things you encountered, and we can bring that conversation over to the idea of career growth. And, no, people don't want to hear it. In fact, anytime we say things that are kind of pro career, it's probably the most disliked content on the internet. It's, oh my God, they're telling me things that might help me get ahead. But the thought of coming into the office, not for the company's sake or however you want to paint that picture, but for your own career growth. Can you give some examples of where maybe that is a smart idea?
Right. So oftentimes one of the biggest, I would say, kind of most straightforward things we get asked about on a career services end of it is, hey, I want to be a leader, I want to manage people. And the fastest way to do that, especially in a world that for one reason or another, just coming out of the pandemic, has less people wanting to come into the office and be around others and build, and people want to work remotely more and more. You can set yourself apart from a lot of your coworkers just by being present, being willing to come into the office, being around conversations, learning from your managers, having day-to-day interactions to where you see how they operate and can see how the business as a whole works. And while working from home is a nice luxury to have, it's just not, it doesn't replace that. Being part of a team, creating, having different ideas, brainstorming, all that in person has a ton of value. And because you have that presence, you are going to be, whether consciously or subconsciously, more eligible for promotion than those who don't want to come in and have that interaction.
I always paint the picture two ways. Have you ever heard anyone say that they believe like an online college class is better than being in person?
No.
But somehow we always flip it around and say working from home is better for me learning in my career. And, you kind of compare the two, and it's working from home is more convenient. And there are some jobs where we can just work from home and bang it out. It's just fine. But if you're really talking about learning and growth, I don't know if that's always the smartest way to go about it. Um, do you have another example of that?
Well, it's kind of like, would you rather have a personal trainer or would you rather use an app for fitness that, you check in and it's just kind of laid out for you? Well, the personal trainer costs a lot more because it works and you're in person and it's very much more hands-on. And so it's the same thing with learning and taking in other information, right? It all is the same when you're developing a skill.
Like the app personal trainer, for example, it's really great for people who are already self motivated, who are accountable. Like that's usually not the issue. They already probably come in the office, they get things done. You don't ever worry about those people.
Right.
The app is not so good for the people who just say, not today.
Right.
The real personal trainer, you feel accountable to show up today. And not everyone has that kind of self-starter motivation. In fact, most people probably don't. Flip side, I do present this question of, do you think you'll see many Fortune 500 CEOs in the future that have only worked from home?
No.
Nah, they were in the office, they were on the manufacturing floor, they were at customer sites, they were in the meetings, they were around their people, they're having conversations, soaking up knowledge, products, services. That is how you get the CEO. How do you do that sitting at home, dodging Zoom calls, and just trying to do the bare minimum? And just so much of success at work is not doing the work, it's all these other things. Managing people is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Managing problem strategy, not easy.
Right.
And how do you learn that stuff? The 4-year degree in the MBA is not enough, right? If not, we would have, everyone could be a CEO.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, it's in an age where employees value transparency more and more so. So, what does transparency mean? The leader, the person you report to, do you get the sense that they're deeply involved in the company? Do you get the sense that you know who they are, you know their values, there's someone that you can follow and kind of take direction from? A lot of times that comes with being present and being seen and having them have conversations with you about your goals and your own professional development. And so, it's difficult to make a case to be that leader and say that you want to grow with an organization, but you don't want to come in. You don't want to be able to come in person. You don't want to be a part of the growth that's occurring. So, There are plenty of individual contributor roles out there that, like you said, you can work from home, bang the job out, and move on. But if you want to be in charge of people and kind of climb that corporate ladder, I would strongly advise you being willing to come in person because it's only going to work to your advantage.